Welcome to our channel. Today, we will dive into one of the most captivating and thought-provoking stories in the Bible, the narrative of Cain and Abel, found in Genesis chapter 4. This account explores themes such as envy, anger, and the consequences of our choices. As we progress through this ancient story, we will uncover the profound lessons it holds for us today, supported by biblical studies and archaeological discoveries. The birth of Cain and Abel. In Genesis 4 verses 1-2, we are introduced to two brothers. Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. This brief introduction sets the stage for a story that would echo throughout history. Cain, the firstborn, was seen as a gift from God, a symbol of hope after the fall. Abel, the second son, is often associated with innocence and purity. Recent findings in ancient Mesopotamia reveal the importance of firstborn sons in early agrarian societies, often seen as the heirs of the family legacy. This cultural background helps us understand the expectations placed upon Cain. The offerings of Cain and Abel. In verses 3-5, the story takes a dramatic turn. In the course of time, Cain brought an offering to the Lord from the fruit of the ground. Abel, on the other hand, brought the firstborn and fat portions of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but he did not look with favor on Cain and his offering. Studies on ancient sacrificial practices reveal that the choice of offering was crucial. In many early cultures, the firstborn of the flock was considered the most valuable, symbolizing a true sacrifice. This reflects Abel's act of faith. Cain's anger and God's warning. In verses 6-7, the Lord speaks directly to Cain. Then the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door, it desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Here, God offers Cain a choice, highlighting the concept of free will. Cain stands at a crossroads, with the opportunity to master his emotions or be mastered by them. Ancient Near Eastern texts often depict sin as a lurking force, ready to consume those who are not vigilant. This image aligns with the biblical portrayal of sin as a beast waiting to strike. The murder of Abel. Tragically, in verse 8, Cain's anger consumes him. Cain said to Abel, Let's go out to the field. And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. This is the first murder recorded in the Bible, a poignant moment of fratricide. Cain's act is not only a crime against his brother but also against God, reflecting the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and envy. In ancient societies, fratricide was considered one of the gravest sins, often leading to curses and exile. This aligns with Cain's fate after the murder. God's judgment on Cain. In verses 9-12, the Lord confronts Cain. Then the Lord said to Cain, Where is your brother Abel? He replied, I don't know, am I my brother's keeper? The Lord said, What have you done? Listen. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. God's judgment on Cain is swift and just. The ground, which once provided sustenance, is now cursed because of the spilled blood. Cain's punishment is not only physical but also spiritual, as he is marked and sent into exile. Exile was a common punishment for severe crimes in ancient times. It was a fate worse than death for many, as it meant separation from the community, family, and God. The story of Cain and Abel is a timeless lesson on the dangers of envy, anger, and the choices we make. It reminds us that our actions have consequences, not only for ourselves but for those around us. The ancient texts and archaeological discoveries we explore today shed light on the profound truths contained in this narrative, truths that continue to resonate in our lives today. We continue our journey through Genesis chapter 4, exploring verses 13-26. These passages delve deeper into the consequences of Cain's actions, the birth of new generations, and the establishment of human civilization. As we unravel these ancient texts, we will draw connections to our world today, supported by biblical studies and archaeological discoveries. Cain's punishment and his plea. We begin in verse 13, where Cain, after being cursed by God, cries out, "Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." Cain's lament is filled with fear and despair. He acknowledges the severity of his punishment, but also expresses a deep fear of isolation and vengeance. This plea reflects the human desire for mercy, even in the face of grave transgression. Exile as a form of punishment was a common practice in ancient cultures. It meant complete separation from the community and protection. Archaeological evidence from ancient civilizations shows that banishment was often seen as a fate worse than death, leaving individuals vulnerable to the elements and enemies. God's mercy and the mark of Cain. In verses 15 to 16, God responds to Cain's plea with unexpected mercy, but the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. God's response to Cain reveals a profound aspect of divine justice, mercy even in the midst of judgment. The mark of Cain, though often misunderstood, is a symbol of protection, ensuring that Cain's life, despite his sin, is preserved. The concept of a mark or protective sign was not unique to the Bible. Ancient Near Eastern cultures often used symbols to denote divine favor or protection. Artifacts from this era, such as amulets and inscriptions, reflect the belief in divine marks as a means to safeguard individuals. Cain's descendants and the birth of civilization. Moving forward to verses 17 to 22, we witness the beginnings of human civilization. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mehujael, and Mehujael was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Despite his curse, Cain becomes a builder of cities, symbolizing the human capacity to create and develop even in the face of adversity. The genealogy listed here reflects the growth of civilization, with each generation contributing to the advancement of human culture. The earliest cities of Mesopotamia, such as Uruk and Eridu, offer a glimpse into the type of urbanization that might be reflected in Cain's city. These cities were centers of innovation, trade, and cultural development, marking the dawn of human civilization. Lamech and the escalation of violence. In verses 23 to 24, we encounter a darker side of human development. Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, "Listen to me, wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Lamech's boastful declaration marks an escalation of violence and retribution in the post-Edenic world. His words reflect a deepening of the sin introduced by Cain, now manifesting in a culture of vengeance and pride. The early development of weaponry and fortifications in ancient cities suggests that violence and conflict were integral parts of the formation of early societies. The biblical account of Lamech highlights the moral and ethical dilemmas that accompanied this growth of civilization. The birth of Seth and the hope of redemption. The chapter ends on a note of hope in verses 25 to 26. Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time people began to call on the name of the Lord. The birth of Seth represents a new beginning, a continuation of the divine promise despite the tragic events that preceded it. Through Seth, the lineage that will lead to Noah and eventually to Christ is established, symbolizing the persistence of God's plan for humanity. The idea of calling on the name of the Lord reflects the development of early religious practices. Archaeological evidence of altars, temples, and religious inscriptions from this period suggests that the worship of a higher power was central to these early communities. The story of Cain and his descendants is a powerful reminder of the consequences of sin, the complexities of human civilization, and the enduring hope of redemption. As we reflect on these ancient texts, we see how the struggles and triumphs of early humanity continue to resonate in our world today. The archaeological evidence we discussed today helps bring these stories to life, offering a glimpse into the realities faced by our ancestors. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Genesis 4. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, just as Seth was a symbol of new beginnings, each day is a new opportunity to call on the name of the Lord. Until next time.